Hello everyone, and welcome to episode 1 of Get Smarter with English, a podcast for English language learners who want to combine their language learning with other kinds of learning, like learning new facts and learning about topics that they hadn't thought about before or hadn't heard about before, and also learning about some interesting news that maybe our radios and TV channels and newspapers aren't talking about. Before we start, let me introduce myself. My name is Melissa, and I am an English teacher from South Africa. I teach English as a foreign language online. I have been teaching mostly adults, conversational English, general English, business English. I've helped with interview preparation, exam preparation, all kinds of things. And I noticed that there was a need for students to increase their vocabulary about more uncommon and unfamiliar topics. So I decided that it would be a really fun idea to make this podcast, not only for my students to listen to as some extra English practice, but also for other language learners to use as a free resource. So this podcast is about learning new things. I hope to bring on some guests at some point in the future to talk about things that they know very well and that they are a bit more well-versed in than I am. Well-versed in. This means to be more knowledgeable about something. And I really hope that you will enjoy this and that this can be a collaborative effort. So we'll work together to make this a really useful English language podcast for all students. With that all being said, let's jump into today's topic. For today, I thought we could start with the history of the English language, since I thought it would be useful not only for you as language learners, but also for me. As a native speaker, I've never really thought about the history of English and where everything came from. So while doing some research, I found some really interesting facts, which I thought I would share with you today. Also, if you are not following us on social media, we have an Instagram page and a Twitter account. They are linked in the show notes, so you can find us there, and every day there is a new post. It's either a question or a fact, so for some extra practice, follow us there. Okay, on with the show. The beginning of the English language goes back to the 5th century with the arrival of several groups of people to Britain. These people were called the Jutes, the Angles, and the Saxons. This is where the term Anglo-Saxon comes from, which you might be familiar with. These groups of people were 3 of the strongest Germanic groups in the region, and they settled in different areas of Britain. The Celtic people were already living in Britain at the time, but they were no match for the new inhabitants of the island, and they settled in what is today known as Wales, Scotland, and Ireland. The language spoken in England at this time is called Old English. Middle English developed around 1000 AD and was influenced by the Vikings and the French. The Vikings were a group of Nordic people who were famous for invading and pillaging the regions of northern and northwestern Europe. Pillaging means to rob or steal using violence. This can mean robbing a place, like a small town, or stealing objects, like paintings. So we can say the Vikings pillaged small villages, or they pillaged treasures from the places they invaded. The language of the Vikings, Old Norse, added around 2,000 words to the English language. So I guess the Vikings didn't only take things, but they also gave us new words. How kind of them. The Norman people from France invaded Britain, and French became the language of power and nobility, or royalty. The lower class continued speaking Old English, and over time, more words were added to the language, from French and Latin origins. That is why there are so many English words which sound very similar in French. In fact, French has been so influential that around 29% of words in the modern English vocabulary have French origins. Modern English is divided into two time periods. Early modern English emerged between the 14th and 15th centuries, while late modern English emerged in the 1800s, and it includes the present day. Early modern English is most often associated with William Shakespeare, who had such a significant impact on the language that it is believed that he invented at least 1,700 words. Finally, late modern English is the language we use now. It has been influenced by colonization and globalization. Globalization is the increased connectedness which we have with each other around the world. It has allowed information to travel really quickly to many different countries. And nowadays, as soon as something important happens in one country, the whole world knows about it almost instantly. This has led to English constantly evolving as more people learn the language and use it in their daily lives and change it. There are, on average, 1,000 words added to the dictionary every year, with many older words going out of use every year too. It truly is incredible how language can change so rapidly. Well, that is a very brief history of the English language. We'll take a quick break and then we'll discuss some interesting facts. Welcome back. It is time for a few interesting facts I found while researching this week's topic. Firstly, the most common letter in the English language is the letter E. It appears in around 11% of words in the dictionary. Adding to that, the most commonly used word is the. It is found in about 5% of every 100 words a person uses. There are more than 160 dialects of English spoken worldwide. The major dialects include British English, American English, Canadian English, Irish English, Australian English, New Zealand English, South African English, Indian English, and Philippine English. A very interesting fact that I learned is that the most complex word in English is run. That's right, R-U-N. The reason for this is that there are 645 definitions for this simple three-letter word. The most complex word was previously set, S-E-T, and put, P-U-T, but run recently took the crown for most complex. Do you know someone who really admires England or Great Britain and seems to have a bit of an obsession with it? Well, you can refer to this person as an Anglophile. We will be discussing words for different obsessions in a later episode, so stay tuned. All pilots have to speak in English to identify themselves while they are flying. English is also used by air traffic controllers and aircraft dispatchers. English can therefore be called the language of the skies. There are around 1.5 billion people who can speak English in the world, and around half of them are non-native speakers. This is about 20% of the world's population. The average English speaker knows between 20,000 and 30,000 words, but there are more than 1 million words in the English language. Okay, and that was the final fact. If you have any more interesting facts that you know about the English language, or if you have any comments, suggestions, recommendations, or questions, you can send me an email at getsmarterwithenglish, all one word, no spaces, getsmarterwithenglish@gmail.com. Alternatively, you can send me a message on Instagram or Twitter. At the end of every episode, we will quickly cover some interesting news. And this week's news is about dictionaries. The Collins Dictionary has named NFT as their word of the year. Now, for those of you who don't know, NFT stands for non-fungible token. Fungible is a bit of a strange word, and before reading this article, I had no idea what it meant. But it means something that is easily replaced by something identical. If something is non-fungible, it therefore means that it is not easily replaced. It is unique. NFTs are unique digital certificates that are revolutionizing or changing the way that art is purchased. The idea behind it is that people buy this unique certificate for digital artwork, which gives them the rights to this artwork. It will be interesting to see what the future holds for NFTs. If you have any experience with NFTs, please share your experiences with us. I have included some interesting articles which I found while doing research for this week's episode. So if you would like to read them, you can find them in the show notes. Some of them may be a little tricky to read as they are intended for native speakers, but they will give you some good reading practice. I have also included the new words and phrases I mentioned in today's lesson in the show notes, so you can find them all there if you missed them. Thank you so much for listening to the first episode of Get Smarter with English. I am so excited to go on this journey with you and to learn some more fascinating facts about the world around us. So until next week, stay curious and keep learning.